Hey folks, John with Complete Technology Solutions, your friend in the computer business, and I'm back. Here we go. For those of you who are new to the actual computer goofy side of me, the background here and all of the systems that you see and all of the motherboards, I'm always getting questions on the other channel as to what exactly those are. We're going to be doing another sort of a reintroduction video at some point here in the near future on this channel because they all mean a lot to me, and those of you who've been with me for years know exactly what all this stuff actually is. But today, since we're coming back, we're not only going to debut a couple of products, we're going to build a rockin' retro game system, and I'm talking about a game system that'll run any sort of game from the mid-70s up through the Xbox era for less than 150 bucks. And not only am I going to show you how to build it, I'm going to show you the parts to use, and we're going to take a look at it. So, without further ado, let's get started. You have got to love big, full Amazon boxes, guys. I tell you. Now, we're going to do this in two different stages, if you will. All right. First of all, we have got to be able to create a main system disk. We're going to be using Batocera today. Now, you guys have actually seen me build a ton of systems using Raspberry Pis. And while RetroPie is a fantastic operating system, and the Raspberry is still by far one of the best cheap retro gaming systems you can actually get, well, normally. Right now, Raspberries are a little on the expensive side still, and I think all you guys know that story. But they're a little anemic, especially for if you want to run anything above PlayStation 1, and we want that ability. So what we're going to be using today, guys, is actually an x86-based machine called the Atopnuc. This is a, how do I put this, rockin' little computer. It comes pre-built with Windows 10 in the box, running off of a solid-state hard drive. This thing has got everything that we currently need, but not enough space. So what we're going to actually be installing that, we're going to pull out the 128 gig solid state in here. We're going to go into each one of these individually, and we're going to be putting in a 1 terabyte TEAMGROUP MS30 SSD. Now, this is in an M.2 format, but it is an SSD. So you'll understand why we're doing that here in a little bit. We've got 3 of these to actually install. There's one down there. And in order to clone all these, we're going to be using these M.2 to SATA 2.5-inch enclosures. You're going to understand why we're using these here in a minute. They look like this out of the box. And we're going to be cracking all those open too. This is going to give us the ability to clone multiple disks at once. So when we create the primary drive, the primary game system, we're going to be able to clone it to 3 other hard drives without actually having to do it individually and wait, which is huge. I do that because primarily, guys, I sell a lot of these systems, and they are, it's hard to keep up with it. So if somebody comes in and wants a system and then you got to clone another disk, you're sitting there, even with a decent little inline cloner like this, you're still looking at waiting for 20 to 30 minutes to clone a disk. So, all right. We're going to be using the EasySMX 9013 game controllers. You guys have seen me use these on a bunch of videos in the past, and if you've ever been in the shop, I guarantee that you've actually seen these here too. All of this will be in the description field, guys. I want you to be able to build this, if you ordered these parts, to build it yourself right off the bat. All right, going to need a couple of batteries, so I just threw those in the box. No laughing. And this is the one I've been wanting to play with the most. This is the MAIWO 4 hard drive cloner, or I guess theoretically you could just use it as a network attached storage for 4 different drives. But what I want it for is to be able to clone 1 to 3. That is the biggest part of this for me. So I want to start by cracking this open. This is something I've been worrying about. Wait a minute. Get rid of that over there. Y'all remember throwing boxes over there? I always end up with this cool little pile. So, okay. By the way, guys, cloning these disks, you can clone any of these little M.2 drives, but once you get above 1 to 1, dude, these things get stupid expensive. A 1 to 4 on average is over 200 bucks. This is $60. So you can see why I went this route instead of going with one of the other cloners. So, All right, cracking her open here. Wow, that's not too much to that, is there? Take it out of the foam here. Okay, so as you guys can see, you've got 4 SATA bays. Source A, I like that they actually labeled that. I was wondering if they're going to do it. So source to the 3 targets in the back. Back here, you can set it to where you're actually going to be on the network, or if you're going to clone it. So if you want to use it for drive storage, you're going to set it to PM. And if you're going to clone drives, which we are, you're going to set it over to clone. Power on and off, SATA in, and USB 3.0 if you're going to go to the PC. Of course, we're not going to do any of that. We're actually going to clone drives with it. So if you want all the specs on this, guys, you'll be able to pull it up down there in the description. Wow. You get a beefy brick with that thing. I guess that kind of makes sense. If you had 4 mechanical hard drives in here, you'd want a little juice. You do get a USB 3.0 cable in the box. That's kind of nice. And you get, oh, those are kind of cool. Those are adapters. You know, I believe those are, let me take a look at this. Make sure I am not speaking incorrectly here. They look like the adapters to go down here to adapt the smaller drives in, the 2.5-inch drives. Man, the things are packaged. You know what? You know what we're going to do, right? I know what we're going to do. You know what we're going to do. By the way, yes, that is a new knife for those who notice that. It is still a butterfly knife, but it is a new knife. I may or may not have misplaced the other one. Yeah, the little lady wasn't pleased about that. But, okay. There we go. So, basically what you're going to do is take the insert, and the insert will sit in the drive bay like so. Theoretically, guys, these things don't weigh anything. You could just slide them in there, but this is kind of cool. Since I'm not going to clone anything on other drives, just to pop those in, just like that, and just like that. There you go. Pretty cool, right? All right, so let's go ahead and get the power cable out of here. Let's see if there should be a, yeah, there's a clone button right there on the front. I was going to grab the instructions, but honestly, guys, there's nothing to this. So put this back in the box. We will keep this box until we're sure everything works. There we go. And off the table it goes. All right, so the way to do this, now we already have one source disk that we have been using. Now we're going to crack into the Atopnuc here in just a second, but we have one source disk which I currently have installed in this drive caddy, and as you can see, I don't even actually have it screwed down right now. It's just actually in there and being held down by the compression of the caddy. Now we're going to put that into source A. This is the source disk. This is the system disk that I build. Now I'm going to tell you guys right now, I will have these available for sale. Right now, that system has got 91,000 games on it, and I've been working on Windows and DOS games. Some of the Windows games are stellar. We'll look into those menus here in just a minute. I will have those at some point here in the near future, so we'll talk about that. All right, so the way this works, guys, as you can see, I've got another one here that does not have a drive in it. So you take your drive, slide it in right there. And in the kit with these, and you'll see it in a second, you do actually have a screw to secure that. So if you were going to leave this in this form factor and put it in a machine, obviously I would probably go ahead and secure that. But in this case, it holds in there tight, so there's nothing to worry about. All right, sliding in another drive bay. And let's go ahead and crack up a couple more of these. And we'll go ahead and get the clone process started on these. Now, I have one disk that is already done with the new system installed, and I'll show you that here in just 1 second. All right, popping that, and let's get the other one out. Yeah, it feels kind of weird to be doing computer stuff again, I'll tell you. But you know, guys, the truth is, if you've ever come up here to the flea market, you've seen me doing this. This is essentially what I do all weekend, is work on the computers or the game systems and try to, you know, get new toys to everybody that comes in here. So, all right. Now, inside these SABRENT cases, by the way, guys, you've got a really nice little manual, like you would ever actually use that. And each one comes with the screws. So that's the screw to secure the M.2, as well as to close and secure the case. So, and each one of them comes with their own groovy little black screwdriver. Man, I have got crates of those screwdrivers. I mean, seriously, like crates of them. Okay, grab this little tab right here, pull it open, take your M.2 drive, slide it into place, and close down the case. And we will rinse and repeat one more time. Now, when we do the actual game system itself, guys, we're going to be using Batocera. And the version that I have installed in here is actually fully upgraded to 3.6. I'm not going to go into a full how to load Batocera on this video. If you guys have an interest in knowing how to do that, let me know, and I'll do a totally new video specifically on Batocera starting from scratch. But if you go to, if you Google Batocera, you can download it for free. One thing I like about it is that the emulators are already built into it. So unlike RetroPie, where you have to go in there and individually select your emulators, they're already there, which makes that a pretty huge thing. All right, there we go. So let's go ahead and plug this in and see what we get on our cool little drive bay here. Then we'll start on the Atopnuc. Okay. So the game system that we're going to be playing, guys, or that I have installed on here, it's intentionally overlarge. And it had to be that way because inevitably what would end up happening is somebody would come in here and ask me for some game that I didn't have, usually some funky, obscure game from back in the day. And if I didn't have it, I'd have to find it and every other game that manufacturer made just in case, and then integrate it into the systems too. Now, I cannot tell you where to get the ROMs. That is something I cannot do. I can tell you that a quick Google search will give you everything you need to know. That being said, be very careful to some of the sites you go to, guys, because you will end up with spyware on your computer if you misclick once. So please be careful with that. All right, firing up the system. And we are on clone, coming back around here to the front. And we've got power. Now, I believe if this is like my other cloning station, you have to hit clone twice. Yep, you hear it go beep. There it goes. And it is at 0% right now. And I'm going to move that back so we can kind of keep an eye on it and watch it go there. Generally speaking, on a clone using the Inland, depending on how big it is, these are 1 terabyte. So generally speaking, you're looking at, I'd say 20 to 30 minutes to clone the drive. So I am curious to see. Obviously, we're not going to get to the end of the clone on this video, but we're going to let that run. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at our Atopnuc, shall we? Okay. Now, I have got an open unit over here, which is actually the one that I use for beta testing, but I want to show you guys exactly what you're going to get in the box with one of these. And I'll be honest, guys, I have tested a lot of different single board computers like this one, and I do call it a single board computer because essentially that's what it is. So you got a manual inside here. By the way, this does come preloaded with a 128 gig solid state drive, M.2, and Windows 10. So you could use this as a basic Windows 10 computer if you wanted to. All right, cracking her open here. And this is what she looks like on the outside. So you've got 2 HDMI. Yes, it is capable of doing dual monitor. Typically speaking, you're going to come out on Batocera anyway, out of the HDMI port closest to the power adapter. You've got 2 USB 2s here. You've got gigabit LAN here. On the other side is where you've got your USB 3.1s, and you've got your Type-C adapter here. Here's a headphone jack, and that's about it, guys. It is a very, very, very clean design. Now, here's what we're going to do. This system I've actually got over here. I'm going to put this one over here, and I have already removed the screws from this one. Now, when you open it up, what you're going to find, you think I'm kidding by doing a bunch of these. I do a bunch of these. All right, so opening this up, what you're going to find is that this will have 128 gig solid state drive. I've already removed it from here because obviously the 128 gig wasn't going to do what we needed. And I've replaced it with one of the 1 terabytes that we're using over here. By the way, you guys can see that has gone to 1% there. Hopefully you can see that on Stumpy. That's pretty cool. You've got 8 gigabytes of RAM. It is capable of expanding up to 16. I haven't needed that yet, but it's quite possible that if we ever do in the future, we could expand to 16 gigs of RAM. Something else you'll notice, guys, see this little tape down piece here? That is a SATA connector. So you can put in a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive in here. If you're going to do that, guys, and believe it or not, originally I was using a 1 terabyte. I had a bunch of them sitting over here a minute ago. But, oh, right here. I was using a 1 terabyte regular old SATA drive. And then, just for giggles, I tried a standard old generic 1 terabyte mechanical drive. Either of them were fine. This was better. That was best. Reason being was speed, obviously. If you're booting off of one of these into Batocera, it's going to be fast anyway. But if you're booting off that, it's super fast. So that's definitely the way to go. All right. You do have Bluetooth. You do have Wi-Fi. Everything built into this system. So it is 100% done out of the box. All you have to do is swap out that drive and set up Batocera. So, okay. So we're going to close that down. Once again, guys, if you want, we will do, and if I get enough requests, if you guys request it, I will do this. I'll do a complete Batocera video from beginning to end on how to download it, how to install it, what you get right off the bat, so on and so forth. So let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in. All right, I'll tell you what we're going to do, guys. I am going to go ahead and we're going to connect up this system to this screen right here so that I can show you what the Batocera load actually looks like. Be right back. And now we've got it all actually connected up here. Before we fire this up, I want to show you guys something that's pretty important about these, especially when it comes to these controllers from EasySMX. Now, guys, honestly, these are some of the best controllers I have ever used, and I have tested a bunch of them, which is why I keep coming back to them. But if you look at the back of the system to show you what we've got connected here, we've got our power connection going in here, our HDMI here. This is the receiver for the EasySMX. This is the USB cable that's going to our keyboard and mouse. And this is our LAN cable. That's all there is to it. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to try to flip Stumpy around here, guys, so you guys can see this screen. And I know this is like very 80s method of doing this, but in the interim, it's the easiest way to show you exactly what this looks like when it boots. And man, I tell you what, I need to show you is how to clean a screen. No laughing. Okay, there we go. Let me raise that up just a tiny bit more. And you should be able to see everything clearly now. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to power on the system. Now, when you're using the EasySMX controllers, especially if you're using MAIWO, okay? And yes, you do have a full functioning BIOS in here you can get to. We do have audio on Batocera, which I'll keep down because there's your audio. All right, so, but we'll go into that here in a second. Now, when you're using the SMX controller, if you see how that has got one light in the top left corner, if you have it like that, your controller will not function correctly. All you have to do is remove the receiver. See how that spins around? Plug the receiver back in, and that is the mode you want to be in right there. And as you can see, it actually did detected it right off the bat. Now, what that gives you the ability to do is to switch between the D-pad and the thumbstick just by hitting that button one time. So by default, you're on this. That switches you down here to your D-pad. All right, pretty cool. Now, as you can see, in this particular build, it looks a lot like RetroPie, doesn't it? It's a whole lot like it. But this has got 91,000 games currently built into it. Now, that is essentially every game, every system, every arcade game ever made. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, there's still I'm fishing for, but yeah. The ones that I've been working on, Xbox. This is a very tough system to emulate. The only one I've currently got on here is Jet Set Radio Future, and it's running at about 60% speed. This is a fast machine, though. So, Windows games, guys, yes. These are some of the greatest games in history right here. And as you can see, I'm still working on them. That's the whole idea. If that's there, that means that I haven't completed it. That's how I remember to continue. The Wii U, Virtual Boy, Vectrex, and I'm just going to go through these real quick, guys, to give you an idea. When you're doing these emulations, and I'm talking about downloading files from the internet, you're going to run into a lot of stuff like this to where you've got hacks, game hacks. So there were not 3,700 Super Nintendo games made, but this has every version from every country and every hack and everything else built into the system. You're going to run into that a lot with pretty much all of them. So Super Game Boy, Mega CD, ScumVM are like the DOS games. A lot of these are some of the best DOS games that were ever actually put out. So you don't want to miss those either. Sega Saturn. Now, you're going to see a lot of these that are actually Japanese companies. You may or may not have seen those in America, which is actually pretty cool, too. Ports. These are actually ports from Doom, so on and so forth. Pokemon Mini. You got to love those things. I remember those when I was a kid. PlayStation Portable. This is all of the PSP games, which on this system play like a dream. Now, the reason I haven't gone into a game yet, I'll show you in a minute. Now, PS3 is a whole lot like Xbox in that while the game is there, it runs at about 60% speed. PS2, 100% full at all times. But the one I want to show you, and we're going to go through these here, is Nintendo 64. Now, everybody knows that 007 is the slowest running game on any emulator out there. So we're going to launch into this game, and I'm going to show you the difference in power between this game system and, say, one of the Raspberries. Now, Raspberry could run this, but it's going to run it at a considerably slower rate. So, all right, getting on in here. By the way, guys, I'm real sorry about the length of this video, but I wanted to show you guys something cool that you can do for yourself. And building your own game system that'll do this, you're all worth it. So, all right. Dee-dee-doo. All right, I'm just gonna jump into a regular game so you can see the speed that it's running at. All right, here we go. Now, if you'll remember playing on a Raspberry, this was very, very laggy. It would run, but it ran really, really slow. We're going to skip a little of the graphics here. Yeah, in fact, all Nintendo 64 games, every one that I found currently, runs at full speed on Batocera without a problem. All right, continue. Look at the difference, guys. Smooth as glass, the way it ought to. Isn't that great? This is the way this game was meant to run, guys. And that is coming straight off this game system with nothing else but the built-in emulators that come with Batocera. We did not have to actually go in and do any of that from that point. So, once you're in the game system with the current configuration, start and select together, or start and back rather, will take you out of the game and back to whatever menu you were looking at, which in this case was Nintendo 64. B will take you back. Now, a couple of basics. In order to load games on Batocera, you actually have to do it over the network. So you're not going to be pulling out the hard drive or anything else. Once you've got this done, everything else is done on a different PC. So if you hit your start menu, one of your options is network settings. Now you can set up your Wi-Fi here, or as you can see, we are connected via LAN here. So if you type that address into any PC, it's going to come up with the share folder on Batocera on this system. Therefore, you can access what's called the ROMs folder. In the ROMs folder, you will find the subdirectories for everything. Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PC, all of that kind of stuff built into one. Once you've downloaded the games in here, you don't have to reboot the system, but what you can do is from the same start menu, you go to Game Settings, hit A, and update the games list. What that'll do is it'll force it. It does what it looks like as a reboot, but it isn't. All you're actually doing is forcing it to re-acknowledge any games that you have added or removed. And you have to do this if you add games over the network before they will actually show up here. So, pretty cool, huh? All right, guys, I tell you what, let me get this camera repositioned, and we'll talk a little bit about the system. All right, guys, so just to recap, we managed to test out the controllers that I know I love. These things are great. I'll have descriptions in there. The single board computers that are insane. Dude, they're 90 bucks. Literally, 30 bucks for a controller, unless you get them on sale. 90 bucks for this, and the drive is $30. No matter how you look at it, you're getting a major, insanely powerful gaming experience for $150. You can't go wrong with that. Now, I will have these discs available for sale, fully ready to drop into one of these Atopnucs. So if you want something like that, let me know, and I'll put my email address down there too, and I'll get something built up for you and shipped right out to you. So that way you won't have to go through all the process that I do. Doing the Windows games, it usually takes me 15 to 20 minutes per game to get them set up, calibrated, configured, and ready to run as soon as you launch the game. But it's not that hard, guys. Once again, if there's interest in setting up Batocera and seeing me do it, let me know. We'll do it. Last thought. There is nothing that would stop you from using this system to upgrade any of the arcade 1-ups. Dirt simple. I mean, like dirt simple. So that's something else we're going to do here in the near future. So once again, don't ever think that I do not love my Raspberries. I really do. But these are available, and at the current time, building that is cheaper than building that, and it's about 3 times more powerful. So, well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Looks like we made it to 7%, but it's working. That's what really counts. Have a fantastic night, guys. I hope you like our inaugural video. Lots to come. I have reviews. I've got a couple of builds to do. Things are about to get crazy. Have a great night. Bye-bye.